Okay, all good. So, yes, welcome to our November coffee chat. Good to see all of you. So excited to be together this month of November. I am going to go ahead and move us forward. Again, Brittany Jackson speaking. So excited to be together, Nadine. I see that you almost got a speeding ticket. So glad you didn't. But I have totally been there, so absolutely understand. All right, so just a quick reminder about our Zoom features. We will have lots of discussion today, but we'll also have a lot of opportunity for sharing. So we hope and encourage that you all will utilize the chat. Also, if you, there's closed captioning at the bottom. So you can click that down below to see the closed captioning and the transcript, and then also the reactions at the bottom as well. So don't forget about those Zoom features, and definitely let us know if you need any support there. All right, and as we always get started with our PFA network events and coffee chats, we want to go through our agreements. And I think for today, what I will highlight is being both teachers and learners. So I know we'll be talking about our various different patient, family, partner activities and conferences. And so we would love to hear from each other, taking space and making space as well, so that we can hear about all the wonderful things that are going on all across the country. So, all right, let me see. We have a good group. So, for the sake of time, we want to make sure that we get to hear all of the wonderful things that y'all have to share about what you've been up to. So, by way of introduction, let's use the chat today, if you will. So, if you don't mind just putting your name, where you find yourself at today, and then something you are grateful for this month. So, we're in the month of November. I know Thanksgiving is all the way at the very end of the month, but we can all always find something to be grateful for. So let's see, something I'm grateful for is we are going to be going up to the mountains this weekend. It's my son's birthday, and so we're going to be driving up, spend a weekend up in Breckenridge, and I can't wait to just breathe the fresh air and just unplug and get away for a bit. So I'm very grateful for that time coming up tomorrow, and I see folks chatting in. Karen, thankful for cooler weather. Let's see, Sherry, loving the cool, dry air and red maple leaves. Definitely love seeing all those colors as well, Sherry. Rosie is grateful for all of you, as am I. Lindsay, also for cold weather after a very hot summer in Northern California. Let's see, Emily, I'm grateful for being able to visit your granddaughters and mom and dad in New York last week. How wonderful, Emily. So glad you made it there and back. So wonderful. Connie's grateful for family. Naomi got her roof fixed and ceiling replaced. Yes, so glad. Katie, grateful that it's Friday. Me too, Katie. Sal, grateful to be alive. That's so wonderful, Sal. Absolutely. Nadine in Chicago, grateful for no snow yet and cooler weather. Nadine, we just had a ton of snow here in Colorado. So we are definitely enjoying the snow, but now we're back to sunshine. All right, I see so many wonderful things coming in. Paula, grateful for projects that you're working on. Ooh, good job, Barbara. Grateful for finishing a 5,000 word article on PFAS. Barbara, please share that with us if you can. Lori, grateful for all the colors outside. Glad to play in the leaves. Nikki, grateful for family, friends, and health. Linda, let's see. Linda, you'll be a first-time grandmother to a little girl 1 week from today. Yay! Excited for you, Linda. All right, let's see, Michael. I'm grateful for health and for Connie. Yes, love the shout outs to each other. Friendship with Connie. And okay, Barbara, article not published yet. Well, when it is, please let us know. Okay, well, so much to be grateful for. I just wanted to read it out because it's so great to just have that positive energy flowing. So thank you all. Keep them coming. I am going to go ahead and move us forward. So today, we will be doing some community sharing, and we will hear from several of you, both verbally and also please feel free to utilize the chat. As you can see, we already have some great chat going on, so utilize that as well. But we are going to hear about some of the patient family engagement and patient family partner activities and conferences that you all have been involved in over the last several months. So looking forward to hearing from several of you. We have lots of voices and folks that would like to share. So we're gonna each share for a couple minutes. Again, feel free to share links into the chat, any experiences. So we'll talk about it, and we'll also look at chat as well. So with that, and actually, really quickly, I'm going to share this next one and a couple of questions, and then I'm going to take down the slides so we can all just see each other while we're talking. Feel like we're in the room together. So what was the greatest takeaway that you had? So as you're thinking about these partnerships and conferences and activities, what was one of your greatest takeaways as a patient family partner? And then if there's anything that you can think of that you'd like to see more of, something that you might have saw or something that you'd like to see more of at these conferences, feel free to share. And if you can think of any ways that the PFA network and our community can continue to help fill gaps. All right, so I am gonna take the slides down. Oh, yay. I'm sharing slides, so I can't see all of you all's lovely faces, and now I can. Hi, everyone. All right, so Bobby, I'm going to turn it to you to get us started and kick us off.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining in today. I have a couple things that I wanted to mention to you. In the past month, I was involved with or attended the National Annual PCORI, Patient-Centered Outcomes Research meeting in Washington, D.C. And it was really beneficial to me, and it's not the first year that I've gone there, but every time I go, I learn things that I can bring back and utilize myself and share with others. A couple things that I took away from the meeting were I'm interested in palliative care because of the fact I just learned about it recently. I never knew it existed. And with all my experience with kidney disease and patients and dealing with my mom, I found out about it. And I think it's one of the most un underserved or unrecognized things out there to help people. And palliative care is not just true of kidney disease, but there's palliative care for all chronic illnesses. And the doctors don't let you know about it. Many people mistake that for being hospice care, and they're two very, very different things. So I learned they had a special session there on palliative care, and I was front and center on that one. They talked about mental health and children's mental health. And believe it or not, in the row right next to me, after they did their presentation or talk, you could stand up at the microphone and give your name, where you were from, and what you did. And when you know it, if this was the very last session of the conference, the gentleman sitting right next to me was a doctor in pediatric transplant. He was a pediatric transplant surgeon from right here in Pittsburgh, where I'm from. And I just about fell off the chair because I thought, here he is sitting right beside me. And just this week, the other day, I did a presentation at UPMC Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. And there he was, he was from there. So, I took my business cards with me and I shared them out with a lot of people. One of the things that you gain by attending these meetings is the connections, and you broaden your network so that you have resources at hand. Another thing that I wanted to extend to all of you that would be applicable, that's not related specifically to kidney disease, is actually being able to learn, or they teach you how to apply for and secure grant money to do research. So if you're wanting to write a request for a grant for money, they do comparative research, compare one thing to another. And they have certain initiatives that they want to drive forward and move forward with, like underserved communities, rural populations, the Black and Brown communities. These things are like part of their initiatives with that they're gaining towards, and they want to get more inroads to. They have training classes before you go and apply that you can actually do online so that you know what they're looking for. They also have the ability at PCORI for you to become an ambassador like I am. And when you're an ambassador, you get like a weekly new or monthly newsletter about what's going on and what meetings they're going to have coming up and what opportunities there are. And it's not really you making a commitment to go out there to, drum up support for the Corey, but actually to be on the cutting edge of when they approve research, the kind of research they're approving, access to their directories and so forth, just by being an ambassador. When you're an ambassador too, and if you would happen to give presentations or talk to people like I'm talking to you now, they also give you resources free of charge. They'll send them to you that you can hand out and help spread the word or make people aware of what PCORI is all about. But every year they have a meeting. They give an advance notice to their ambassadors as well. I went there for free. They paid for my airfare. They paid for all my meals. They paid for my hotel, everything, just simply by applying in advance. And I learned about it ahead of time. So it's really important to participate with that. And I highly recommend it. The other thing that I want to mention to you today is I'm involved with Kidney Stories Toastmasters. It's a Toastmasters group that helps helps patients with anything kidney to get their questions answered, to move forward, and to really become better speakers. Well, this coming Sunday, I belong to them for like a year and a half already. They are having the best meeting that they have ever held. It's going to address finding a kidney donor, or what's necessary, what you have to go through to get on a transplant wait list, to actually remain active. Like you can get on the list and they can deactivate you, and what you are required to do to be active continually from one year to the next kind of thing, and the testing that you have to go through. The great thing about this, it's being presented by an individual from Johns Hopkins. And she is going to be talking about, she's the person that's assigned, even though she has a coordinator designation, she is the person assigned at Johns Hopkins Transplant to monitor kidney pancreas transplants and help make sure that people have met the commitments of what tests they have to get done, getting them on the list, what it takes to be activated, and to remain activated on the list. Probably the best part of her conversation is that after she's done speaking, everybody's going to be given the opportunity one-on-one. You can ask her questions directly and have them answered. Normally, the Toastmasters meeting has like maybe a 5 or 10 minute presentation. They are giving this person full reign of the entire meeting on Sunday. So that means that there's not going to be anybody else intervening. She's going to be talking exclusively about that. It is going to be recorded, so if you can't make the meeting and you're interested in it, I'm going to put in the chat my email and a link to the meeting, how you can join. If you let me know and you want a recording of it, I will definitely, if you email, I'll definitely send you the link when I get it. I asked too, the flyer that I'm putting in the chat, if you could please share it out, because this is really, really important information. Every transplant center across the United States has a person like this. It's sort of like the unknown that we don't know about. Sure, you have a coordinator, but your coordinator, this is one step beyond the coordinator. And I highly suggest that you participate and join in on that. So I'm going to click the button now, turn it back over to Brittany, and let's hear what everybody else has to say. Thank you very much for your time today, everybody.
Bobby, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, let's have a couple of questions. I see Nadine's hand up. So, yep, go ahead, Nadine.
Yeah, I'm sorry to have to be blabbering here, but I was so excited when I heard about this specific niche of Toastmasters. I mean, I'm 100 years old and I know the wonderful aspects of Toastmasters, but I never thought of it as, different niches of healthcare, chronic healthcare. So that got me thinking, has anybody ever done a TED Talk in tandem with those Toastmaster healthcare specific issues?
The president of our group, Shoba Rowe, has done TED Talks. She is based out of California because our meeting is entirely Zoom. It's entirely virtual. It's not like you attend a meeting in person. But if you would like to listen to some of her TED Talks or maybe have an interest in Toastmasters, anybody's welcome to come to these meetings. You don't have to be a member, okay? It's free. But if you'd like to become a member to improve your communication skills on anything related kidney and also make connections with other people, this would be, you can join a meeting and I can provide you with information after the fact, like of how you might want to go about and joining. I can tell you that the meeting, I believe it's on December 3rd, 2nd or 3rd, we're going to have a presentation then from the president of the AAKP, the American Association of Kidney Patients, Edward Hickey, who is a former Marine. And he is going to be talking about the Veterans Health Initiative, and it's a special relationship that they have with the Veterans Administration to assist veterans in getting transplants and getting medical care in the line of kidney disease. So it tells you like different topics and different things. Every meeting they have different speakers on that, but you're certainly welcome.
And Bobby, could you please give me the name of the speaker for the TED Talk?
It was the president of, it was recorded, TED Talks are recorded.
Yep.
The president of our organization, her name is Shoba, Shobarao, Shoba Rowe.
Thanks
And
very much.
I can,
Great.
if you drop me an email, I can, definitely send you her email address and you can contact. She's very responsive. You can get in touch with her and she can give you the specific links about that as well.
Thank you. I just thought that could be applicable to any chronic disease, and I would love to bone up on how to better present things.
Do you know, I bet you don't know this, but Kidney Stories Toastmasters is the only Toastmasters group that is disease or chronic illness specific. There aren't any other ones there. And the reason why they really came out with this is so many people have difficulty in speaking up and asking people to give them a kidney, and talking about their illness. So it's designed for like caregivers, anybody really, patients, to help them along their way. And you can go into the group and ask other members questions too. I found it to be for myself a great resource.
Very informative. Thank you for opening my eyes.
Thank you. Sure. Come join us. We're going to be looking for you on Sunday.
Thank you, Bobby. Great questions, Nadine. And I see lots in chat as well. Christina, I know you had a question about, is there an adult palliative care coalition? And I see a couple of links coming through in the chat for you there, Christina, and lots of other questions and comments as well. So everyone keep a look at the chat. Bobby, thank you so much. Bobby, you might want to also look at the chat now that you're done speaking.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to go
personally
through it
know it's hard to multitask both. So
yeah.
Have a look. But and Libby wrote, I wonder if we could partner with Toastmasters and the PFA network to provide this training. And that sounds really wonderful. So I think that's something we can definitely explore. So Bobby, thank you so much for sharing. Take a look at chat. And at this time, we're gonna go ahead and move forward. So Connie, I am going to turn it to you. Connie was also, I know Connie, you've been busy at multiple conferences and meetings, but I know you'll share some about the Camden Coalition recent meeting and anything else. So Connie, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to you now.
Hi, everyone. It's absolutely wonderful to have this opportunity to spend this time with each of you, talking to you a little bit about the experiences we just had at the Camden Coalition, putting care at the Center Conference in Pittsburgh. It was absolutely wonderful. Love this conference. Been attending it since 2022 when I was a National Alumna Scholar, and being able to share my story and then learn from other people sharing their stories. But what I love so much about this conference, the Camden Coalition and whomever their sponsors may be that year, this year I think it was UPMC helped them sponsor the conference this year in Pittsburgh, is the fact that they really do the work of bringing everyone to the table. They bring the patients, they bring the families, they bring the caregivers, they bring the partners that are in the hospital, in clinic, outpatient facilities. They bring the community-based organizations, and every location that they go to have these conferences for putting care at the center. What I really love is they reach out into those communities and they select people already doing this type of work where they are considering people's full social determinants or drivers of health and where they need people to partner with them. And they bring all of us, all these entities to the table, and we sit down and we talk about solutions and strategies that we can use to help make things better, make life better for people, regardless of your diagnosis or condition, and regardless of whatever social determinants or drivers of health that you may be suffering through or being burdened by, whether it's access to healthcare overall, whether it's transportation to an appointment, whether it's food insecurity, even if it's housing. They consider all the components and they bring all the people together. So the Putting Care at the Center conference, I can't say enough about it. It's one of my absolutely favorite conferences. And I've gotten extremely involved with the Camden Coalition and become one of their national members on their board of trustees because of it, because of the type of work that they do, not just caring for the health or the healthcare outcomes of a person and their family, but looking at the full scope of what that person may be going through that directly and sometimes indirectly impacts their health. So if you get an opportunity ever to attend the Putting Care at the Center conference, I certainly recommend that you do it. Next year, it will be in, I think, Oregon, if I'm correct. Please, Naomi, or someone that's been at the conference this past year, please speak up and let me know if I'm accurate about that. But I think the conference is going to be in Oregon, and they will actually go to Oregon, seek out people doing the work in the community, have them participate in the conference, share what best practices and what's been working there in those communities. And I love the fact that they actually use local leaders that's doing the work in those communities, because nobody knows best what's happening in the community except it's boots on the ground. The persons are the individuals in those communities. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, definitely the boots on the ground in the community where the conference is at each time, I bet is really wonderful to hear. A great experience there. So thank you so much for sharing. Any questions for Connie before I move forward?
I just want to know, I have a question for Connie, and this is Mike Middleman. Connie was also in Philadelphia, and one of my highlights was of recent times between our last calls was having dinner with Connie. So that's all. She was here for Camden Coalition.
Thank you so much, Mike Middleman. Thank you.
I made her come out. I dragged her out. Sorry.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad you both were able to make that connection. And Mike, we are glad you are here with us.
The PFA network does that. It allows you to really meet people across this country and actually become friends. And we're definitely friends now. Thank you.
That is so wonderful. It's so heartwarming to hear that. And that's exactly what we want to do. Just continue to build the community and safe spaces and just all of that across this country. So thank you, Connie. Thank you, Mike. All right, Rosie, I'm going to turn it to you.
So I was supposed to be at the Camden Coalition conference, but I ended up being ill and ended up in an ED rather than at the Camden Coalition, and came very close to being, well, I was septic, but I wasn't, I came close to being in septic shock, but I ended up having a few rough days. But I was definitely thinking about all of you and hoping to be there with you. The conference that I did go to this year that was completely new to me was the Plane Tree Forum in New Orleans. So first of all, I'd never been to a conference in New Orleans, which is an experience in itself. And then the Plane Tree is a patient experience conference, but it's probably on a smaller scale than even the Barrel Institute's Elevate conference. It's it is just really trying to work on building its patient group, even though they are a patient experience conference. They are an international group. This was their 25th anniversary. I did a presentation called Storytelling with a Purpose. As many of you know, I do that presentation quite often, but shared that, my experiences and why I tell my story and why that's important to me, and how I try to use that to create change, not only in quality and patient safety, but also in measurement and in research and other ways. So that was, I did that. And then the next week I was supposed to be at the Camden Coalition, which is when I got sick. And then about a week and a half later, I presented at a conference here in Wisconsin, and it's called the Self-Determination Conference. And, most conferences I go to, I am the lone person in the wheelchair. I am the wheelchair person, and or if there's somebody else, or I'm definitely the lone amputee there. But when I go to this conference, it is like back-to-back wheelchairs, and there's traffic jams with wheelchairs, and there's lots of people with long-term lived experience with disabilities, and short-term lived experience, and also they deal a lot with people of as they age, and the age age-friendly part of that is very strong there too. But one of the things that I always feel at this conference is, first of all, I was 60 years old when this happened to me, when I developed the MRSA, and but some people have dealt with this since they were born. They've been dealing with healthcare issues and disabilities since they were born. And so my presentation there was with a young lady who speaks through her phone. So we have done our presentations a couple times together. And so we pre-designed the questions. We have a facilitator that we work with often. He also is an amputee. He didn't have circulation below his he didn't have circulation to his ankles and feet when he was born. So he's an amputee and has prosthesis on both his legs. But anyway, he is always our facilitator. But so we preset the questions. Stacy answers them first. So she presses her button on her phone, and she has spastic cerebral palsy. So even hitting that button on the phone is sometimes a struggle for her, but she and I have done these presentations, and I've learned very nicely that I don't press the button for her. She does it herself because that is how she wants to do it. But anyway, so she will share her points first, and then I always look at it like I add the color. I add comments and support what she is talking about, because I wasn't in this wheelchair forever, but she has been in this wheelchair since she was, it was a birth, due to the birth. And so she has been dealing with this disability since she was born. So it's always a pleasure to present with her. And so I was supposed to be at Pecori, but I turned down my scholarship to Pecori because I felt that so strongly about sharing and presenting with Stacy, because I really felt that it was important to present with her and to be at this conference. And it is, it is sometimes traffic jams. My daughter-in-law usually goes with me to this conference, and she laughs because you could get run over by power chairs very easily.
Oh, yes.
And I am very careful with my power chair, but people who have been in their power chairs for a long time, they are much easier to, like, they speed with them, and they hold races with them, and they, you know, if you go to the forum, that I put in a link to that conference, kind of link to the entertainment that and some of the highlights of that conference, and some of the people shared their reason for going to the conference. But it's because it was a follow-up to the disability thing that Naomi and I did a couple of weeks ago, the bridge building.
Building bridges. Yep.
Yeah, building bridges thing. So I put in the highlights to this conference because, I always say, my background is special ed. I was a special ed teacher. I thought I knew a lot about patients and the experience of people in wheelchairs. But until you're in a wheelchair, you don't know, and you don't understand, and you don't always, and so basically and it's interesting because, people are living longer. And so, you are seeing people at this conference who are in their 50s and 60s, and their parents are in their 80s and 90s, and they're still caring for them. And so, this is another whole, caregiver crisis that we're going to be coming up to, is how do we care for people who are living a lot longer? Stacy wasn't expected to live this long. I mean, she's now 40, and they didn't expect her to live beyond 30. So, and her parents are struggling. Her parents are in their late 60s, early 70s, and they're struggling caring for her. And it's very hard. The caregiver crisis is really hard when it comes to people living with disabilities, especially if you have to be Hoyered, and she has to be Hoyered everywhere. So, but she lives alone in an apartment. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rosie. This is also great. I also see a lot of links in chat as you're talking, Rosie. So again, the community feel, everybody's supporting each other, dropping in links, and helping share how we can all get connected. So Rosie, thank you so much for raising up these two different conferences and experiences. I think, Rosie, you might have mentioned that when we spoke, I want to say it might not be the plane tree, it might be the other one that is in every state. So if folks wanted to look locally, that they can look up. So there in chat are links, and then I think there might be state specific. So and then of course, if you have questions, reach out. And I do see Nadine's hand up. Nadine, do you have a question for Rosie?
Yes, and it's very quick. Pardon me again. Rosie, I certainly know your story. I'm always thrilled when I see you on here. Can you forgive my ignorance? When somebody is an amputee, are they more prone to sepsis? And are you more prone when you have a lower limb amputee versus an upper limb?
Basically, it's because of the MRSA that I'm prone to sepsis. It's not because I'm an amputee so much as the fact. Now, sepsis does lead to amputations, especially viral sepsis.
Sure.
But for me, the amputations were due to the MRSA. It was not due to sepsis. But the sepsis is part of my life, and I haven't. This was, I had gone almost a year without having a bout of sepsis. So it was that was a long stretch for me, because, I could be here at this meeting today, this morning, and tomorrow morning, or even tonight, I could end up going septic, because it's just that because I have MRSA in my system, and because I have MRSA in that pelvic bone, and there's pockets of MRSA around that pelvic bone. There's a pockets of infection always there. I'm susceptible. Now and I see Lori, are you from Freighter?
Children's.
Oh, Children's, okay.
Yep.
But one of the things I had was I had all of the tissue removed around that pelvic bone that I have left. I have only a small piece of my pelvic bone left, but I had the tissue removed, and that has reduced the amount of sepsis I've been getting. It's really helped. And that was my choice. I could either have the pelvic bone removed, or I could have the tissue removed. And if I had the pelvic bone removed, I would have had to have reconstructive surgery, and nobody would have, there was no guarantees that I would recover from that. And, there was the likelihood of me healing. And, people ask me all the time, because when I tell my story, it's, so this happened in 2009. It took till 2018 till the wound healed the first time. So, it was a total of 9 years before the wound healed. And yet the wound can open tomorrow. And that's what happens is the wound opens, and then I get an infection, and, the infection proceeds to lead to sepsis. And it just happens. And
Thanks for explaining that, Rosie.
Mhm.
Rosie, I have a quick question for you. When you first began, I'm excited to hear that you were not the only wheelchair user at the Self-Determination Conference. So I just wondered how, with that being the case, with the setup, was it a wheelchair-friendly setup in the sense of, the tables in the rooms were...
No. And
Oh.
and I have to tell you that I don't understand that. First of all, Wisconsin Dells in Wisconsin is a big it's amusement parks. And so this conference is held at Kalahari, and Lori can probably tell you that Kalahari is probably the least friendly place in the world.
Agreed.
Every year I'm like, why are we at Kalahari again? It's like, first of all, there's none of us are going to use the slides and the attractions. I mean, their families, and people's families do, and especially people with children, often use it. But myself, it's like I'm paying all this money to go to this conference, and this is not covered by the organizations, and so I, to stay overnight is like boohoo bucks, and I, because it's an attraction, and I'm like, I'm not going to use the attraction. Why can't I get a different rate? But anyway, it's one of those things where it's not a friendly space, and that space is not convenient. Now, I have to tell you that I was just on a meeting with IHI, and I'm presenting 4 presentations at the IHI forum in December. Plus, they wanted my schedule because they said, we want to make sure that every room that you want to go to is going to be convenient for you, so that you can get in and out of it with your wheelchair conveniently, so that that people understand that, the other thing is that one of the things that I need to be in the front of the room, because I've lost most of my hearing due to vancomycin. It's a side effect of vancomycin that nobody told me about when I was getting tons of vancomycin. And every time I get vancomycin, which was about a month ago, I lose a little bit more of my hearing. And so even though I have double hearing aids, I do a lot of lip reading. That's why when you turn on your cameras, it's
Mhm.
like a blessing to me because I've gotten really good at reading lips,
Yeah.
even virtually, but it's a blessing to me when people turn on their cameras because it's I miss so many things, and people
Mhm.
don't, that people don't realize that, you know, first of all, hearing aids are helpful, but you don't hear
Yeah.
everything and you don't hear all sounds, you know, and
Yeah.
it's one of those disabilities that, if you haven't lost your hearing, thank God.
Mhm.
Like if
Mhm.
you haven't lost your sight, thank God,
Yeah, thank you, Rosie. That is so true. And that great point about the camera. I see so many faces and it always warms me up just to be able to see each other. So yes, so thank you for that. Barbara, I see your hand up. So Barbara, we'll take your question and then we are going to, after your comment, Barbara, we'll move forward to Sherry and then we'll move forward to the next portion of our call as well. So Barbara, go ahead. Uh-oh. Barbara, you're on mute.
I am, yes.
There we
Thank you
go.
so much, Rosie, for sharing your experience. And I'm sorry for what you have to go through at conferences. I faced this twice in conferences that I attended. The last one was two flights of stairs and no elevator to get to the conference area. And the two people in wheelchairs had to go through the kitchen and underground. And I mean, it was horrendous. And in a brand new building that I was at last year, they had no sinks that were at a level for a wheelchair user. So it brought to mind whether or not there is some kind of organization or people who would go to a conference venue prior to the conference and approve it as wheelchair approved or something like that. Do you know if that exists, or could there be something like that, Rosie?
I don't know. Barbara, I, I know that, some conferences reach out to me ahead of time and say, what do you need? And, you know, and, and some conferences don't, but, you know, it's, it is, it's different for every place you go. And, it's interesting when I went to Copenhagen, when I presented in Copenhagen and went to Copenhagen, the patient group scheduled a dinner, and they scheduled it in the hotel, um, the hotel, one of the hotel restaurants, and I knew there were steps to get to part of that restaurant, but I knew there was also an area below that you didn't have to go up steps to get into that restaurant. Well, what happened is that the table they got was up the steps, so I couldn't sit with the people who were the patient group. And basically, I was like, I'm not going to sit outside and outside the group and eat my dinner. And so I took my dinner and went back to my room because it was just, I didn't want them to feel bad, but yet nobody checked. And even patient groups don't always think about other patients who
Yeah,
might be in wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm.
that's a really great point. And I think also something that we as a PFA network community can work on. I think that's a wonderful charge that impacts so many of us, either directly or indirectly. And I think that's something that we can definitely come together and work on as a community and put forth as we're all doing different things and going to different events and activities and conferences and such. So,
Well, and Libby has said that disabilities was one of the things that people really wanted to, said, that they were dealing with disability. And, disabilities aren't always things you see,
exactly.
I've made connections with people in airports, and then they end up, boarding early. And I remember this young man boarded early with me. And so Southwest always gives me an extra seat because they know that if somebody rubs against my right side, the wound can open. And so they always give me an extra seat. It's just in my profile. And so he took the other seat, the window seat. And so he sat down, and then he pulled up his pant leg, and he was an amputee, and so he had a prosthesis. And so he was like, and it was funny because he had, they usually park wheelchairs by the garbage cans before you board a plane. It's where they park you. And so I was sitting there, and he had put away some garbage, and he and I ended up, like connecting, and I had asked him how his day was going and that, and then he ended up sitting next to me, and in the end we ended up sharing and he ended up taking our pictures together, even because he felt so strongly about sharing my story and me sharing his story. So
thank you, Rosie. And that's, again, it's just such a powerful part of sharing our stories and our experiences, and continuing to welcome and invite people in. And I think all of us have just a beautiful light and a lot of experiences that we can share to just continue to try to make things better for the next person. So Rosie, thank you so much. I am going to move us forward to hear from Sherry. So Sherry, I will turn it to you now.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I too got to go to the PCORI annual meeting this year. I've not missed a single annual meeting since they started having them. And registration is always free if you're able to make it to the site. They do have a group of scholarships for patients that have never been to the meeting before. But you only get a patient scholarship one time. After that, you have to commit to be an ambassador or do something for PCORI, and they do have ambassador scholarships. So once you got that foot in the door, and they help you get there, um, you're able to go back generally. Also this year, kind of last minute, Rosie and I got tagged to go to the annual meeting of the steering committee for the aging initiative. And Libby was there, as well as Elise, and we had a great time together. Unfortunately, the picture that went out in our newsletter didn't have the photo of the virtual attendees. So you didn't get Rosie and myself in that photo. But this next Tuesday, I'll be going to a new conference. I didn't know anything about this organization. It's the National Alliance. It's called the National Alliance, and it's a group of purchasers for employee health benefits. And they're looking to add a patient voice to that. So I'll be sharing a bit about how using my voice has saved medical resources. And the whole thing about getting off of a treatment once it's worked and not taking it forever, including really, really costly infusions. So that's going to be kind of the focus of what I present to them on Tuesday afternoon. And then yesterday, after we finished the PCORI merit review session, I got an email from Academy Health, and they apparently heard me talking to someone at PCORI's annual meeting, and about the aging initiative that Rosie and I are advisors for, and Libby sort of oversees the advisory group. And they have invited me to come to, I think it's Minnesota next June, as a reviewer for the new policy on aging and end of life planning. So I think that's June 7th to 10th, if I remember correctly. So there are a lot of opportunities opening once you put your foot in the door, once you start using your voice with your experience. And in just in deference to those that are still waiting in the wings to share their experiences, I just wanted to throw those couple of things out there. And
Thank you,
thanks
Sherry.
thanks for Naomi and Brittany and everybody behind the scenes that's just sort of supporting and passing these information bits on and helping to coordinate slides and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. We are so happy to do it. It's such a pleasure for us to be able to support all of this. So thank you so, so much, everyone. This was really wonderful and just so much goodness in the chat as well. So there's lots of links, lots of resources, and so much wonderful information and stories and experiences have been shared. So I am just so appreciative. I am going to just really quick move us forward. So what we're going to do here, we had so much great discussion about all of the activities and conferences and everything that you all have been working on. So this is a circle back to our communication access plan that we've been talking about and that Libby has been sharing and shared about during our last meeting. And we just had some really great ideas and some great discussion around what is helpful and what is needed to continue to be more accessible. And so I put a link into chat, and this again is to that Google Doc, which is open to our full community. And so far, no one's been using it. And so we just really would love for you all to just share your thoughts. It's not meant to be really formal or, you know, this is law, if you will, but we really want to just hear your voices and experiences so that we can continue to just make sure that we are being inclusive and accessible, that we're sharing ideas as we talked about with some of these conferences. So please utilize this document. This is our document for the PFA network for our community to be able to just share what is important, things we may not know. I think we all have tidbits of information that would be so meaningful here. So just a reminder about this document, and you can get in there and put in comments, anything. So I know right now it looks like a perfectly pretty document, but we want you to get in there and definitely mark it up. And Libby, anything more to say on that?
I didn't have anything more to say on the communication plan, but yes, definitely we need your input. You know, we don't know what we don't know, and in an effort to avoid, excluding anyone unintentionally, we really want your support to help us out with that. So, but I did want to go just back to this. This is what a coffee chat, you guys. I mean, gosh, all of the resources shared, everybody's representation. I think we've got some folks that are really getting out there, and we've got some folks on the line today too that, as Sherry said, have maybe not gotten their voice out there quite as much yet. And we really want to be a connector. So again, we'll keep these conference opportunities, where we see patient scholarships available. We'll putting those out to all of you through the newsletter and on the forum. And then I would ask all of you as well, if you see a conference and there's scholarships available, maybe you're going or maybe you've been asked to speak somewhere and you can't fit it into your schedule. Bring that back to the PFA network, because there's lots of folks here with lots of diverse experiences, and would love to see, us work as a community to get everybody's voices out there. So just an invitation to let us know, and also to take those steps. And if you are thinking about it and you're seeing these opportunities come by and you're a little nervous about it, give us a call, give Brittany a call, or give us a call. We'll match you up with someone who has a little bit more experience and can support you in that. So yeah, the more we work together as a community, the louder our voice becomes.
Can I say one thing then? Which
Yes.
is in the okay, when there are forms to sign up for this, or to sign up for the peer mentor thing, the connector application, you have for location you have state/province, and then just have American states.
Yes. Where are you calling in from today, Paula?
Canada.
Ah, I'm so glad to have you. And thank you. This is exactly what this forum is for, to make us think about things that we're not thinking about.
Yep.
So that's an easy change for us. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Thanks.
Thank you, Paula. So wonderful. We're so glad you're here with us today, and hope you'll continue to come out. And for everyone, for these coffee chats each month. I know it's definitely a highlight for me to come and see you all and get to just share whatever we're talking about in the month. And so thank you. All right, I'm just double checking if I see any other hands up or anything like that. I know we are rounding out our hour together, and it's really been great. So thank you all for sharing, everyone who shared, everyone who contributed in the chat, and just for coming and continuing to be vulnerable and authentic and just sharing with this community. It's just so wonderful. So thank you all. Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Linda, I see you put in chat. Reach out if you need anything. We'll be continuing to reach out, and otherwise we will talk again in December. So take good care, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.